right, Chris Gronkowski. This is a huge episode. Big person, big name. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's good, man? Last time I saw you had a monkey on your shoulder, so all things have changed a little bit.
Things have changed, man. The monkey's off my back. And what he's referring to is we were at a show in Dallas. It was a fantasy football convention. I had a booth and we ordered one of those little Pikachu monkeys, and it got a lot of attention at the show, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, man, your booth was pumping, man. I was glad I was right next to you too. So I got a little bit of that love as well. I got the picture. I know I posted it, man, but you were doing it right. You definitely had the attention on the booth.
Thanks, man. The brand has been growing pretty good for me, but I'm curious about you and the Ice Shaker brand and what you've been doing lately. I understand that you've got a family now, you've got some young kids. I just want to get caught up, man. What have you been up to?
Man, a lot. So yeah, 3 kids now, man, 3 boys, all under the age of 3. So COVID's been a little crazy. You have 3 kids at home and you're stuck at home working as well. It definitely gets a little out of control, but we've been doing big things. We just moved into a bigger warehouse. So that whole transition just happened over the last couple of months as well. So our third warehouse, and we're going into our 4th year in business. So it's been good, man. Lucky for us, COVID kind of has made our product a necessity. A water bottle is something people need now. The days of a water fountain are kind of in the past, and each and every kid has to bring a bottle to school or to their youth sports games, and the demand for our product just took off, man. So we've been busy, just trying to figure things out over here.
On this show, I focus on entrepreneurship, health, and fitness, and you are, the definition of everything I talk about on this show. That's why I'm really glad to have you on. So you've taken a water bottle and completely put it on steroids. You've reinvented the water bottle. You made it so unique. What makes your water bottle, because a lot of people may have not heard of it, what makes your water bottle so special, so unique, aside from the fact that the name Gronk is behind it, which is pretty remarkable on its own? That reason alone should be the reason you want to buy it. But I'm not just kidding. I'm not just blowing smoke, but let's be honest here. The name Gronk is huge when it comes to football and fitness, but what is it that makes the bottle so special?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, it's called the Ice Shaker, and a lot of people actually don't know the families behind it. And that was actually done on purpose because I wanted it to be a great product that stood alone by itself. So the difference really is, man, it's a bottle that you can use all day, every day. I wanted a bottle that I couldn't just, bring to work and then come home and just drink water out of it. I wanted something I could also bring to the gym, but also, bring on the airplane with me or by the pool and have the ability to mix a protein shake up or any healthy drink at any point during the day. So that's really why I started it, man. After my NFL career ended, I was going to the gym all the time. By the end of the day, I'd have 4 or 5 different bottles or cups in my sink. And I was like, hey, I just want one bottle I can use for everything. I want to bring it to work, fill it with water, bring it to the gym, hit the pre-workout or the post-workout, and just chill by the pool or on the couch, just sipping out of the cup. So that's really what it was, man. And I wanted it to be super easy to clean, super easy to fill, super easy to mix, and then also keep your drink hot or cold. And went on the mission and, led me on a pretty cool path and ended up on Shark Tank. And it's kind of just taken off from there. So something I never thought I would do, just saw a great opportunity and had a passion for it and just went all in on it.
I do want to talk about Shark Tank, which we'll get into. I want to talk about health and fitness as well. I want to talk about Rob Gronkowski, because a lot of people ask about him. Probably his name comes up when people talk to you all the time. So I want to talk about a lot of things here. But do you find that the trend right now, for me right now, I've got a nice setup at home. I've got a punching bag. I bought one of those speed bags. I've got the rope here, the battle rope. I've got some weights. Do you find a lot of people now, even the ladder? I've got everything here now at home in the basement, but do you find a lot of people are now starting to work out at home due to the fear of COVID? Do you find that's the trend? And do you think this is going to hurt gyms in the future? What do you find? Because you're right into the industry, so you would know better.
Yeah. So my dad's been in the fitness industry for over 35 years. And, this is one of the best years, or this is the best year he's ever had because everyone's buying home fitness equipment. So it's kind of, you see both, people work out at home for a certain amount of time, and it's very hard to stay motivated by yourself at your house. For me, I was a guy that went to the gym every day. So I was able to work out at home for a couple months, and then I got that itch, and I really just wanted to get back out there and, get out of my house, really is what it came down to. So I think people will slowly go back to the gyms. And what I also see is I don't think they're going to necessarily go back to the big box. It seems like the smaller gyms are actually doing pretty well, and some of those big boxes have went out. And so people just feel more comfortable, and they get that community feel as well in these smaller gyms. And those are the ones that we're seeing do really well right now at this time. So, man, I've kind of mixed it up myself though. I am going to the gym, but I also, when I'm in a pinch now, man, I still want to get that workout in. I just throw down right here at my house.
Right. The one thing, like you said, is motivation. Like a guy like maybe you and me, like I have no problem getting motivated. I put my headphones on, I listen to motivational music, I get inspired, I want to be in shape. Now, a lot of people, the majority of people need motivation. When you are in the gym, it's totally immersion, you're totally immersed. And that's one of the main things. Like when you're in the gym, you got to get up, you take the action, you get out there, you kind of get the workout in. When you're at your own house, it's like, why do I want to do this? And that's one thing that I had to overcome. So I've got one of these Whoop straps now, and it kind of monitors my workout, tells me my day strain. So I've been monitoring, like if I have a shitty day and I look at, oh man, I only have a 4 strain yesterday, I got to pick it back up. I got to do something. So now I'm kind of in a system of working out. So yeah, that's definitely a good point. My other concern with gym, I want to ask you, and this show, guys, is brand new. It's episode 3. I want to let everybody know that I don't want to make this seem like an interview. I want to keep it like we're just talking. That's what I kind of want to get that feel for. So I'm going to ask you questions as if we're just talking. I don't want to make this feel like an interview at all. So I want to have just open discussion. I'm just kind of laying that out here on the 3rd episode so people understand. But now you've got 3 young kids. I've got 2 young ones. I've got a 3-year-old daughter and a 1-year-old son. And, this COVID thing, part of it, obviously it's real, but part of it, I feel it's kind of overinflated with the media. And there's a chance you may or may not get it. But do you find that when you do go to the gym, it's really in the back of your mind? Are you wiping down machines before and after? Are you wearing a mask? What is the energy like at the gym? And are you kind of paranoid having 2 young kids coming home?
And for me, I'm not paranoid about it. I know I'm healthy. I know the kids really haven't been affected by it. So it's not really a concern of mine. I also have had family members and a lot of friends that got COVID early on. Buffalo, New York is my hometown, and New York was hit hard by it. And so when I saw that happen, and I saw a lot of friends that aren't necessarily in great shape, have no issues with the virus, it was kind of one of those things where I saw it as a very, very small threat to me and also to my family. So I get it. I mean, it's a real thing for sure. And I also do know friends that had a tough time with it. And they struggle, even though they were in good shape. It took a week or 2 to really bounce back from it. So it's definitely a real thing. But man, I don't think it's a threat to me where it's going to be so serious that I have to sit there and mask up and worry about it each and every day. So I go to the gym. Here in Texas, you wear the mask in, and after that, once you get to your station or your workout bench or whatever it is, you take it off, because man, at the end of the day, you can't breathe and get a good workout in if you have a mask on your face. So if that was the rule, I just wouldn't even go to the gym anymore.
I want to move to Texas. So you're in Texas right now.
Yeah. I'm right outside of Dallas. So I came here in 2010 with the Cowboys, and bounced around for a while and ended up moving back here and settled down and had a family here.
That's really unique. A lot of people don't know this about me, but I'm actually Canadian, right? So I think you and I were neighbors. I literally born and raised in Hamilton, Ontario, which is 45 minutes close to Niagara Falls. So I was probably an hour away from you. So I live in the Northeast, and I hate it. I hate the cold. I hate this seasonal crap where they push the hours back or whatever. Now it's darker earlier, whatever. It's dark now. Like it's dark at like 4:30. It's cold. What's the lifestyle? Because going from Northeast to Texas, would you come back here or do you love it there?
No, I mean, I come back for the summers and stuff like that, but man, once you leave that cold, it is very, very hard to go back to it. And so I went right from Buffalo to Arizona, and once you get used to that heat and you go back to the snow, it's not happening anymore for you, man. It's also kind of I'm sure you know as well, it's just dark, man. Like it's dark.
It is.
Like more, I think it's it's over 180 days where it's dark, man. And when it's like that, when you wake up and it's still dark out and it's cold, you just don't want to do anything. And it was hard for me just going home and visiting for a couple of weeks to get up and get motivated, get in the gym. I just laid around, man, and it was tough. So when I wake up in the morning and it's sunny outside and it's nice out, that's like the ultimate motivation for me. And that's why I love being in a warm climate like Texas or Florida.
I definitely want to move there. I heard a lot of good things about Dallas and Texas and Austin. I definitely want to make my way over there. I think that's kind of the move. That's the 3 to 5 year plan for sure.
That's a good. But so are you in Canada right now then?
Yeah. So I have relatives in Chicago, so I bounce around, but I'm based out of Canada, Toronto area for sure.
Okay. Yeah, man.
It's
It's tough
cold.
to leave there right now as well. I mean, the border's still locked down, correct?
I believe it is. I haven't tried to make a move to come over for anything in the US, but I know one of my friends had to go to California for something for a business trip. So I think he's traveling. I think we're allowed to go over, but I'm not sure. I think they probably grill you at the border, I'm sure, to get over.
Yeah, unless you're essential, man.
Yeah.
That's the trick to it.
Yeah. Is fantasy football essential? Because if it is, I'm coming over.
I think it is, man. I think it is in the US at least it is.
Yeah, it keeps you sane. And that's a big transition for me. That's why I had to make the move. Well, I'm still going to keep the fantasy intact. So my content is still going to come out. And I'm going to do this because I'm glad that we kind of waited for this interview. Because had I interviewed on the Fantasy Football Counselor podcast, it doesn't seem natural. It seems like we have to involve fantasy. I can't. And that's what the problem was when I talk about stuff that was non-fantasy related, but like, stick to fantasy, give me my content. So that's a place where you can go get information. This is a place where you get entertainment and you get some cool guests on like yourself. I got Chris Johnson, CJ2K coming on I think this week as well. I got a lot of cool guests coming on. When I did that, I had CJ2K on my other show. It just kind of felt unnatural to have them on there. So I'm glad I made this transition. But the challenge to me is like, I've got millions of podcast downloads. Everybody knows the Fantasy Football Counselor podcast. It's trademark. Everything is good. And then I had to build another brand. And we're talking entrepreneurship and that mentality. It was tough. Okay, I got to create new artwork. I got to do this again. I got to build this up. 0 downloads. Where do I start? When I look at the other podcasts, I'm like, oh my God. So I'm really trying to use my fantasy audience to say, hey, I've got this going here and I'm building this. And you've probably done that too. When you start something new, it's like, man, you got to overcome that hurdle. But once you get going and get momentum, it's amazing. Don't you agree?
Man, it's tough, man. Building anything from the ground up it's tough, man. And props to anyone that does. And once you go through it, you realize, how much work it really takes. And you have so much respect for others that are there. It's kind of easy when you're young to be like, oh man, how does this guy have a following? Or, he got so lucky. But really, when you look back at it, man, to get to those spots, you have to grind and grind and grind. So I have a ton of respect for anyone that does it. But yeah, it's starting over. It's all about, how relative it is too, man. If it's relevant and, you can get that audience to switch over, that's huge. So you do have a pretty good base. And because this other podcast is similar to what you're talking about, I think you'll do pretty good and have a pretty good crossover as well. But it's still a grind, man. Nothing's ever easy. And if it was, everyone would do it. So I'm sure you know that. And man, same thing with business as well. People would ask all the time, like, man, it must have been so easy starting up Ice Shaker. Your family already had a name. You already had a social media following. And the truth is, man, I did post on social media the first week I got the product up, got the site ready. And, I think I sold 1 or 2 bottles that week. And then it was just right to the grind, man. Shows, figuring things out, getting in people's hands, making each and every friend and family member buy the product and leave a review.
Right.
The grind's real, man. It doesn't matter, who you are. If there's no, audience already built out and there's no reviews or customer trust, and you have to start somewhere and it's at the bottom, man, and you got to build it up. So,
Right. And that's what I think a lot of people would think of you. Oh, you're Gronk's brother. You were in the NFL. You're just a Gronkowski. You're not working. But I would say complete opposite. I think you're grinding. If you sat back and let Ice Shaker sit on the back seat, nothing's going to happen. Let's just be honest. And I think so many people think, oh, because you've got a name, it's easy for you. But I think, wouldn't you say it's actually kind of harder? There's a lot of other adversities you probably have to overcome, right? To have that name, it's like, what are the challenges of having the name? Because everybody knows the good part about being a Gronk, right? I would assume the fame, the name, the people know you. You've got that kind of rapport, instant rapport. I can relate to. Oh, you were in the NFL. What are the kind of the challenges that you got to overcome to having the name?
Yeah. So the good part is it usually gets you in the door, right? But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're in the door if you don't have a great product or service to offer. And I think that's what people miss a lot, and in other former players as well. You can get in the door with it, but if you don't deliver, they don't care who you are. It ends up just being a waste of time for everybody. So that's the biggest problem. And you also kind of get that backlash as well. Like, hey, it's just a great name behind the product. The product sucks. It's just an as seen on TV, or it's, backed by the Gronkowski brothers. But, the product itself is, probably just this as seen on TV kind of junk. So you got to overcome that as well. And that's just by grinding, having great service, getting the product in people's hands, and it immediately changes their mind. So man, I'm grinding every day. And people all the time say like, hey, I can't believe that you're doing this.
Right.
Why wouldn't I be, reaching out to customers and sending them and engraving bottles on the weekend and writing them custom notes? I mean, that's what grows it at the end of the day. And when they say, I can't believe you're doing this, I love it because I know that means they're going to tell every single person that they know that they can't believe I was doing this. And my story is going to get out there organically. And that's how you grow a business.
Yeah, I think being humble is huge. So again, when I first met you, it was a couple of years ago. My brand has obviously grown a lot more. And I'm not trying to be arrogant about it. I'm just saying that I'm always going to try to remain humble. So when I approached you, my initial thought, a household name like Gronk, this guy's probably not going to be very approachable. But it was actually the quite opposite. You were actually very approachable. You're very nice, and you believed in your brand. You believed in the vision, and you know that you're bringing value to people by providing a better product. And that was really kind of nice to know that a guy with that type of household name was very approachable and very, pleasing to talk to. That's kind of the only way to explain it, really.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's something that people just don't realize, man, is that every athlete, and I think it's across the board for the most part, you're regular people, man. And, you are going to respond back to stuff. And, sometimes when guys are too good or whatever it is, man, that's just because they're absolutely bombarded with, autograph and different things that people are asking for. You just can't please everyone. And sometimes when you say yes to one person, that opens up the floodgates for, thousands of people, especially at events. So I respect every guy, but at the end of the day, man, most guys are approachable. And if you get them in the right setting, they're happy to work with you and share knowledge, and they're great people, man. So I hate when athletes are kind of looked at as like gods and unapproachable, because that's usually not the case for the most part.
Right. I've been kind of burning some bridges on social. I don't know if you follow my stuff, but what ends up happening is I'm kind of the shock jock of fantasy football. So what ends up happening is a lot of people don't realize this. Some people think I'm a dick for doing this. Some people that really follow me know that I'm not a dick. And if you've met me in real life, I'm not. So what I do is fantasy, right? It's a huge part of our lives. We bet on it. There's DFS, there's FanDuel, the DraftKings, there's our, bragging rights. There's a lot on stake for the armchair quarterback like myself. So when a player I plug in doesn't do well that week, and I know it's not his fault. I know there's variables. Maybe the quarterback doesn't throw that well. Maybe the DB covered him really well if he's a wide receiver. Maybe he, the pass, whatever it was, the rush defense was really good and he couldn't, rush for any yards, or maybe he had a headache or something. Anyway, bottom line is I come out and say, hey, you are the suck of the week. So I've been doing this suck of the week. I don't know if you've been following that on my social media. So I said, Madison, that week when Cook was down, I said, you are the suck of the week, Madison. You crap the bed. You shit the bed, basically. So these guys are actually getting really offended by this, and they're diving into my comments. I've already had it out on social media, Le'Veon Bell. I don't know if you knew, but did you follow that at all or no?
No, man, that's it.
So he was boxing, right? So I'll tell you the story with Le'Veon Bell. So he was boxing, and I've been doing mixed martial arts for years, and I could tell the technique. His hands were down, his chin was out, and he didn't move well. He didn't move well. He was very stiff. And I could tell this guy, I'd knock this guy out in a boxing match if we went out, and I got into the conditioning. So I went out and I said, dude, like, focus on football. You're not even doing that well. And I know he's kind of a narcissist. Anyway, I got it out with him. So he ended up posting me on story mode. He came at me, said, I'm not giving you attention. So I had it out with him. And then there was Mecole Hardman. He got upset because I said he sucked that week. And then there was Alexander Madison, and Leonard Fournette DM'd me, said, yo, I appreciate you being, successful, but please don't talk about me. So what is it? Because you were an athlete, right? And if an idiot like me, a fantasy armchair quarterback, comes in, how do you feel when people talk about fantasy like that? Has Rob talked about you? Because fantasy is now a big part of life. There's over 60 million plus people playing it. It is impacting now with social, not just me, but fans are tagging these athletes. So do you have any insight on this, on how players feel and how you would feel if you were tagged like that?
Yeah, man. It sucks really at the end of the day, man. And like you said, it sometimes it's frustrating because, my brother will go into a game and he'll get double covered the whole game.
Right.
And, before that and prior to that, he's having great games, and, you don't know the strategy that a defense is going to come out with. It's kind of like every time he played against Rex Ryan, Rex was going to double cover him, sometimes triple cover him. And, when he played against them, his fantasy, his stats sucked. And there's a reason for that. And every other player had an amazing game because they all had single coverage on them. But
Right.
people don't look at it like that. So, it's kind of changed the game and changed the way that fans look at both players and teams, man. And it's frustrating sometimes for sure, because they look completely past the actual strategy of the game. They don't look at the triple coverage. All they look at is, his stats that he had 0 catches, and all of a sudden they're on social media just saying he sucks and you lost me the whole year and you're the worst tight end ever. And it's like, no, he actually just killed it for them. They won, 35-7 because he was triple covered and every other guy was wide open on the field. So, man, it's frustrating at that. And you can't argue with people. It's just a complete waste of time. So at the end of the day, man, you just put your head down and you stay off social, and you talk with your teammates is what it comes down to, and your family and friends, because they know what actually happened. They know the strategy. They got your back, and that's all you can do, man. You got to just stay off social, and you understand it, man. When money's on the line, people get crazy.
Yeah.
And, that's what happens. So yeah, I would say fantasy's frustrating. At the opposite end, when you have a good game, what do you think you're doing too, man? You're sitting on social all day, like dabbing people up, like what's good, man.
But they take it seriously. This is the problem. They take it seriously. Like they don't think like obviously they don't suck. They're in the NFL, and they should know that. They should have enough confidence in themselves that they don't suck. But they take it seriously. But I guess it's an accumulation. It's not like Joe's the verified account, one of the top fantasy accounts. Yeah. That's probably the straw on the camel's back, or whatever you want to say, the cherry on top to them. Because again, I see it. I look at some of the guys' comments, and you can see it in the comments below. Why did you screw my fantasy? This has nothing to do with me, but just people going in there over time, and they say, we don't care about your fantasy teams, right? But I think that they should care, because some of these players, we probably wouldn't even know if they existed if it wasn't for fantasy. Like a third stringer on, let's say, the Chiefs, for example. We don't know who they are, right? But we know who they are because of fantasy. So I think there should be a level of respect to it, but also the fans should respect the athletes as well and not be so harsh on them. I should be the one taking my own advice here.
Yeah, I mean, this is where – I completely understand the both sides of it, but when they take it to the line where I've seen it go to, where we'd be out to dinner and this happened, and this got me mad, and it wasn't even me, but we're sitting at dinner with Rob after a game, and a fan comes up and they ask for an autograph while we're eating, with the family, and Rob's nice enough to say, yeah, absolutely. I'm eating with my family, but I'll take a picture with you and sign an autograph, which most players wouldn't do. So he does that, and as they're walking away, they say, and by the way, thanks for sucking this week. I lost in fantasy.
Oh, come on. Really? They did that?
And it's like, man, like, yeah, like that's, you're going to ask for an autograph and then, tell them thanks for blowing it this week. And it's just like, where are the lines? Where are the
terrible.
Lines?
That's terrible.
The loyalty lies in fantasy football. It's not even, with your team or your favorite player anymore. It's with your fantasy team, which is, a yearly thing that changes, and you're going to put all of that on that instead, and call out, your favorite player supposedly, for having one bad game. So that's kind of where it's way overboard. And I think people put way too much on a $20 fantasy league, man, where it's like, come on, man. Put that dollar value over your favorite player and call them out like that at dinner. It's like, that's when it's way, way, way past the limit.
Yeah, I mean, I would have been very appreciative to get the autograph, and I would have left you suck that fantasy out of it completely.
Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. But yeah, and you're right. I mean, it definitely does bring attention to everybody. It used to be just your favorite team, and you knew a couple guys on that team. You know everyone in the league because of fantasy, and you find out about players that you would have never even thought about before, but you're snagging them on the waiver wire, you're looking them up, you're looking at all their stats, and all of a sudden, they're a pretty well recognized player now.
They're under a microscope, but some, I think it was just, I had a guy on who did a TikTok video. His name is Kyle Allen, I believe, young guy, 20 years old. And then he basically said that Claypool screwed his team, and then Claypool reposted that, and it got like millions of views, but Claypool was laughing about it. So I'm glad that Claypool found some humor in the fact that he sucked that week. So it was kind of entertaining to see.
Oh yeah, man. And then, I mean, a lot of it too is just, it's strategy as well. And I think people got to look past that as well. I mean, sometimes they do have a bad game where, you're actually dropping passes, and sometimes, the game plan is to run the ball the entire game. And when that happens, it just sucks as a receiver, but you do your job and you do it to the best you can, and your stats are just not going to look good that week.
So part of this show is I really want to push people out of their comfort zone and get them to talk about things they might not talk about. So I'm throwing you on the spot here, but I was reading up about you a little bit before because I like to read up on all the guests. And I know you and I've followed you a little bit for years, but you had some criticism about that. Did you not miss a block or something for Tony Romo, and that's when he broke his neck or something like it broke his? What happened with that? Is that
Yeah,
true?
man.
What
Yeah,
happened
so
there?
it's kind of one of those things that it's almost kind of like fantasy, right?
Right.
So you know, I'm a rookie that year. We're 1-4 going into the game against the Giants, and you know, what people don't know is the actual game plan and the actual scouting report as well of a team. So playing the Giants, and I'm told as a fullback that, you know, we want to get out into routes as fast as possible this week, and we want to chip out. So I'm sure you've seen tight ends or running backs chip out on the D end as they get out. So
Right.
rookie left tackle starting. They had two really good D ends. So the game plan was, you know, get out as fast as you can, give Tony a lane to throw to, and chip out to help out our tackles. The scouting report came back as, hey, if these linebackers are not walked up on the line, they are not blitzing. You know, so we're going into week 6. They've never blitzed if they were off the ball. So this play comes, and you know, basic protection. And what ends up happening is by the linebacker I had was actually out over Witten in the slot. And when Witten motioned in, he came with him. So it looked like man coverage, right? So I checked my guy. I got out. I chipped out. I got into the lane. And what the backer did was he actually green dogged is what we call it. So he delayed blitz. He read the play. He sat for a second or two, and then he came. And with that, you know, Tony wound up and threw a 40-yard pass, which, you know, takes time. And
Right.
my guy came inside as I chipped out. So he came inside and he ran right past the guard that was sitting there not blocking anyone. So at the end of the day, you know, the actual blocking responsibility was my guy. So I just got, you know, as an undrafted free agent rookie, every single thing was blamed on me for
Right.
it. You know, they never interviewed me. They never asked the coach about the strategy. They just said, hey, this was a day one install. And that was his guy, is what it came down to. So it's not like I whiffed or anything like that. And really, I was actually executing the game plan. But man, at the end of the day, too, when you look at it, teams blitz for a reason. They blitz
Right.
because it works. They blitz because they get to the quarterback. And every game, the quarterback gets hit like that. It just became an unfortunate situation where he got hit and he got hurt.
I hate the mainstream, and that's one of the main reasons I'm creating this. And I really want to get people's voice out there to get the real stories on things. But what pisses me off, not only with this situation, but any situation, is that like I could right now, I'm grinding every day. I'm putting out a podcast. I'm grinding. I'm networking. I'm putting out content. I'm constantly working out. I'm kind of focused on my mind, body, meditation. And you probably do all this stuff too to keep sane sometimes. And you do one thing that's wrong. Like let's say you say the wrong thing. Let's just say you know, say that, just do one little wrong thing. It's like people just kind of remember that. You know, the thing with Drew Brees, I don't want to get too much into politics today, but Drew Brees said what he said, the whole thing. I don't want to get back into it, but a lot of people ridiculed him for that, but they kind of forgot everything he's done up to that. Then he kind of made up for it. So it's sometimes the things that they do, that's the one bad thing that kind of sticks out. And that's kind of what I hate. And it kind of gets magnified. Right. And yeah, I mean, there's way more positive things you do. And obviously, okay, let's just say you missed that play. The amount of plays that you got right to even get to the NFL is something that, you know, people kind of overlook sometimes, right? And they just say, oh, he did one bad thing or one thing that didn't, you know, fit the mold, right?
Yeah, man. No, it's I still get comments about it all the time. And it's, oh, that's the guy that sucks. I got Romo hurt. And it's like, you know, I actually went on, and that was the first year of Pro Football Focus. And I was actually graded out as a top 5 fullback in the entire league. They gave me all first team, all rookie team. And it was actually a really good year for me, especially as an undrafted free agent rookie. But it kind of goes back to what you said, just one play. It's kind of like the kicker at the end of the game.
Right.
You know, it's fault that they lost the game when he misses. You know, I go back to the Bills situation when they lost the Super Bowl. You know, he kicked a 45-yarder in the snow and missed it, and it's been his fault ever since. So it's one of those things where people remember what they want to remember, and obviously that's always the worst thing about you.
Right. You've really made the best out of the situation. Now, like if you were to choose like NFL and just continue on with that, or entrepreneurship, how has the transition been for you? Because obviously you didn't, were you cut prematurely? What happened with the NFL? Why was it like shortened for you? Was it, I know you were banged up a little bit, some injuries. And I got to say, though, what you've done after is amazing, because a lot of people are, oh, my career's done, I'm just going to, sit on the couch right now and ride the Gronk name or something like that. But you didn't. You took action after that. And in fact, what you're doing now is magnifying, and it's probably bigger than what you did in the NFL, right? Like, so how has the transition been, and why was it cut short for you?
Yeah, man. A lot of reasons it gets cut short, and most of the time it's injury, right? I played out a 3-year contract. I re-signed a 4th year with the Chargers, and I got rolled up on in camp. It was something where I was starting on every special teams. It looked like I was going to make the team. And, after the first preseason game, Ronnie Brown fell on the back of my ankle in camp, and you become damaged goods at that point. So I signed an injury settlement, and I got paid out. I got a 4th year, so I jumped on that. And then I started rehabbing to come back, and had a tryout in Miami after rehabbing for it ended up being about 8 weeks that I was rehabbing, and I ran a 40 and I blew out my hamstring. And at that point, completely ruptured it. It was, hey, do you want to have surgery and continue playing or trying to play, or do you want to give it up? So I got really lucky, man, because the hardest thing is the transition, because that's your identity. That's all you do. That's all you know. And to move on from that is very hard for guys, and a lot of times takes years for them to move on. But with me, man, my wife started a business when I was in Denver,
Right.
and it started doing really well. So I actually transitioned out, started helping her, and within the first year outside of the NFL, I was making more money than I was making playing in the NFL. So I got super lucky with that. I actually worked for her, with her for 5 years, growing this business, and it was a customization, personalization website, mostly through Etsy, but also our website called everythingdecorated.com. And we're just turning personalized gifts around really fast for the wedding industry and then the gift market as well. And loved it. But, at the end of the day, it wasn't my passion. And so I ended up thinking about this other idea with Ice Shaker, and that's how that all started. And that was really just a side hustle for me based upon my passion around sports and fitness.
Right. No, you've got an ace in the pocket with that product, because I think that's something that's evergreen. You could always sell it. You could always move it. It could be a staple to your brand. And I think you can still stack on top of that. But I think you've got a good product there. So I want to talk about Shark Tank too, to transition here. I mean, what we see, because I was on one show of, like, it was like a Storage Wars show where they took a couple clips of me that used it, but it looked different. So I'm assuming, like, what we're seeing for the final product on Shark Tank is probably nothing like what you actually did. It's probably like a whole day of filming, right? And then they kind of produce that final product where you and Gronk and all the brothers come out and you guys are having fun out there. Was there a lot of filming to that? And did you feel that some of the stuff was cut out from TV? Like, how does TV feel compared to what we're seeing for that episode? Was it different?
Yeah, sorry, man. Someone's knocking on the door, so the dogs are barking. But yeah, it's what ends up happening is, you go in this room and it's the real deal, man. Like, they're really putting real money in. It's a real business. It's a real investment that's going to last for the rest of the business. So
Right.
the actual interview process of it is over an hour long most of the time. For me, I was probably in the room for about an hour.
What kind
I
of
got
dogs do you have? It's okay. I like the natural feeling. I don't edit this crap out. I had dogs before too. Are they smaller dogs? Because they're yappy.
Of course they are, man. The wife's dogs from college, man. So you've got some
Oh,
Pomeranians in
like
here.
more bark than bite, right?
Yeah, they love barking and pissing in the house too. Sure that.
You got to train them. You got to get them out.
Oh man, but yeah, every time someone knocks on the door, they get nice and nice and hot.
You got to get the door, or you guys got that covered?
Oh no, we're good.
Okay,
We're good. Yeah,
okay,
they're,
good.
they're just looking at people walking by.
Go ahead.
But no, the actual filming, we're in there for about an hour. They cut it down to the best 8 minutes, which is the bros running out of the back room giving me a chest bump. It's also playing flip cup and then closing the deal for the most part. But I actually didn't get an offer until about 20 minutes in, and then we ended up getting offers from all 5 sharks. But for 20 minutes, I'm kind of sitting there sweating it out as they go through my entire background. From high school on, really, at that point, and then asking questions about what my family did, where I went to school, what I did after football, and they just absolutely grilled me,
Wow.
and they really knew everything about me, and then decided that they wanted to invest. So it's definitely a lot different than what you see. They skip all the boring parts and they get right to the good stuff, man.
Right. And then obviously, like, was that experience, like, did that really help the brand? Obviously, it helped it a lot, right? Just being on there, did that give you an automatic amount of sales? Did that really help off the top end?
Yeah, I mean, we were about 6 months into the company, so this was a huge proof of concept for us. I might have to switch rooms, man. These dogs are killing me. Let's switch rooms real quick.
No problem. We'll take us for a walk here.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Walk,
the
walk
sales
here.
are
Let's
good,
see some
right?
more jerseys, man. Here's my boy right here that I was in camp with the Cowboys, man. When you go through tough times, you always remember the boys you do it with. So that's my boy Phil Costa right there. And then I got the Gronk jersey over there from England, man. He dropped down 2 touchdowns, so I had to keep that
Nice.
one. I stole it out of his closet, but I think we're good. I got
Nice.
to go back over here actually because my computer's close to
You
dying.
got a lot of jerseys up.
Yeah, man, this was supposed to be my room, and it kind of turned into the kids' room, but
Looks like the man cave to me.
it used to be. Now it's the kids' cave.
So I got to ask you. So like, do you go with Rob a lot? And do you guys obviously you get approached a lot, right? How is that like? Because again, household name. You know, like how is that feeling when you go with Gronk? Is it constant like approaching, or do you guys kind of go undercover, put some hats on, some shades, and try to hide? How does it work?
Man, it's funny, man, because I hung out with a lot of guys and played for a bunch of different teams, and I've walked through the streets with all kinds of players, and no one really gets the attention that he gets. And the reason is because he's so recognizable. He's so tall that you almost automatically assume that he's some kind of athlete. And
Right.
so people just start coming up. And a lot of times, even if they don't know who they are or who he is, they're on their phone looking it up and they figure it out. So it's just nonstop getting approached by people. So he has to plan out what he does. In New England, he pretty much didn't go out anymore because it was just a huge process for him to get anything done. So he'd have people shop for him and stuff like that out of necessity. But yeah, going out, we just kind of have to plan what we're doing, and then also bring people with us that we can trust as well.
So it'd be physically impossible to go out and just not get recognized like every time, for sure.
I drove when he came to Texas. We were driving through like the middle of nowhere. We're actually going to one of the military bases out here, and we stopped, and people were getting autographs with him in Texas when he's playing in New England. So I don't think I've been to a place, maybe overseas. I think he went to Australia when he had his year off, and I think that was kind of the only place he was able to go and not just get bombarded with pictures and autographs.
What was the tipping point for him and you guys when the Gronkowski name became this huge name? What was it? What was that trigger that said boom? Or was it like it was probably more of a gradual thing? But when did you feel that shift to like, man, okay, now we're big, like it's happened. When did that moment happen for you guys?
Man, it was probably his like fourth or fifth year in. It's probably after the first Super Bowl they won, where it really just took off to that next level. So man, it's always kind of been like that with him from day one. So I don't think it really got out of control like right away. Like it always had kind of been there, and then it kind of just magnified a little bit. But man, since day one, he's always been recognized, and people always wanted to hang around him and get autographs. So it's kind of was just natural.
Was that a Polish name, Gronkowski? What background is Gronkowski?
Yeah, man, it's Polish, but I just did the 23andMe, and I found out we're only about 18% Polish. So
Oh, okay.
my dad's not going to be too happy about that.
Well, I want to wrap this up here with just fitness real quick because again, I'm all about fitness. And can you kind of walk us through your diet? Because you look good, you look lean. We see it in the pictures. It's obviously a lifestyle for you growing up. So, what do you do? Any tips? Kind of, I mean, it's probably too long to explain, but kind of in a nutshell, how many times a week do you need to work out? What type of foods should we be taking in? What type of foods do you eat? And I also want to ask you a question about pre-workout if you're familiar with that as well. But I want to kind of get through to your diet as well.
Yeah, for sure, man. So it's cool because I've kind of transitioned through everything. As an athlete, you just eat whatever you want. You're not like eating healthy because literally when I was playing, I just had to keep weight. So I'd go into camp at 245. I remember my rookie year, I was weighing in at 228 by the end of camp, and I was literally just eating bacon for breakfast just to keep weight and just to keep calories in. So you actually have to learn how to eat after you're done playing because the amount of activity you do, you just can't match that level, man. Unless someone's pushing you and you're going to practice every day, you're not going to push yourself that hard anymore. So you have to significantly reduce your calories. And actually learn how to eat healthy as well. So for me, I was working out pretty much every day. COVID actually slowed me down, and I think it helped because I was just beating myself up. I wasn't letting myself recover. And when I started to, I actually started to look even better, which was impressive, man. So I'm now down to more like 4 to 5 days a week. I actually take some days off now, and I actually feel a lot better and look a lot better as well. Meal wise, man, I try to make everything myself for the most part. So I don't eat out much, and I try to cook everything and make everything high protein for the most part. I don't really believe in keto diets or any certain diet. I guess I do. I guess you call it paleo, right? Where you try to eat like a caveman, basically.
Right.
Try to eat whatever you could eat back in the day before there was a microwave or, the convenience that we have today. And I still feel that is the healthiest way that you could possibly eat.
I don't know what to eat anymore, man. There's just so much garbage out there. I try to reach for organic things. I try to avoid heavy carbs. I try not to eat late. I can't figure it out, but I know my metabolism's taking a dump right now. I mean, I'm in my mid to late 30s. You start losing it. I try to get a good workout in daily now if I can, maybe one day of rest and stuff like that. But again, sometimes I feel like I'm spinning my wheels. So yeah, man, maybe you'll have to shoot me over one of your diets because I can't seem to get this right.
Man, I do have a full custom diet plan that I offer now with a free 1 month on it. And then even after that, it's $1 a day for a workout plus a custom meal plan as well. And that's at gronkupfitness.com. So if anyone wants to check that out, use the code IceShaker. I'll give you $50 off, which is either a free month or you could use it for a 3 month plan, which would make the 3 month plan $40. So pretty cool offer there. But I just launched that, man. And it was because of this reason where everyone wants to know, it's hard. Like I didn't know, I had no idea how to actually work out just to look good, stay fit and feel good. So, it took me a long time and I've been out of the league for, over 8 years now. And, it's kind of just what I've researched over the years and what works. So definitely check it out if, you're kind of stuck on what to eat and how to work out.
Okay, I'm gonna link a link to your ice shaker website below. But what's the website? How do you get one of the ice shakers?
So Ice Shaker is just iceshaker.com. And then if you actually buy from us, you'll get the offer for the Gronked Up Fitness as well, just emailed to you. And you check that out as well.
Do you take a pre-workout? Because I'm really getting into it, but I don't want like the hard stuff. I just want a little bit of caffeine, a little bit of some other stuff that makes you tingle during the workout. Do you take pre-workout? Do you recommend taking pre-workout? Are they safe?
And so my entire career, I never took pre-workout. I really didn't take any supplements, and most guys don't. Um, so after that, I started to take some pre-workout. And for me, my biggest the thing I would say is, you start getting dependent on it, and it's more a mental game than anything. So if you can stay motivated yourself and you want to, and you're also really bad at with addiction or getting stuck on something, I wouldn't take it, man, because that's what ends up starting to happen is that you feel you can't work out until you have it. And I went through that cycle myself, and I had to taper off it, man, because it becomes bad where you feel like you have to have it to work out. So um, I would say take it in moderation or take one without the stimulants in it as well.
But it feels so good. And I've gotten to that point. I've reached that point now where I kind of like I can work out without it, but I feel that the workout is a little lackluster. And it is a mental game. It's messing with my head at this point. Like, because I feel the tingle and then I get the music and I'm just in the zone. It makes me sweat a little bit more, gives me a little bit of a little pump, and I look in the mirror and I feel a little bit better. But it's like I'm kind of like I don't want to say addicted because I never smoked. I never did anything, no substance abuse ever in my life. So I'm really good. I don't even drink much, but this feels good when I'm working out.
Yeah, man. What I would say is because I'm there with you, man. I'm the same way. I'm like, I would never be addicted to something.
Yeah.
I hardly drink anymore either, man. I don't smoke. I hardly do anything, but I got to that point too. And what I say is just cycle off of it for a little bit
Exactly.
because
Yeah.
you're not going to feel it as much after a while anyways. So give it a week or 2 weeks or whatever it is, and then take it again. And you'll only have to take about half the amount and you'll be like, all right, I'm back.
That's what I heard. Yeah. That's
Get in
what I
that
heard.
cycle, man. Now you're probably to the point where you hardly probably even feel it now unless you're taking it on an empty stomach.
Yeah, you're right. I don't feel unless I've taken it on empty stomach. You understand exactly how it works.
Yeah, I know I do, man. I've been there. And what I like to do actually is in how I stopped taking it was, man, I know people think carbs are the worst thing in the world, right? And they also think that eating bad carbs is always bad, but it's really not. And what I would do and how I got off of, this pre-workout cycle was, my mom would send me desserts, and she'd send me like this blueberry buckle that was so good, but man, I knew she was just dumping cups of sugar into it.
Yeah.
And I knew it was absolutely killing my diet. Right. And normally I'd eat it like, 9 p.m. at night, the worst time you could possibly eat it. So instead of doing that, I was actually waking up in the morning and I was eating that before my workouts. And then I'll go work out before I crash from all the sugar. And it ended up being like, man, like the best pre-workout you could ever take, huge pumps. And at the end of the day, man, if you're working out, you need carbs. And I think that's the biggest misconception that most people have. They think that carbs are bad. And I did the same thing, man. I went on this whole like super low carb thing, and I was working out every day. I was playing basketball every day. I was kind of just shrinking. And I'm like, man, I'm going so hard and nothing's changing. And until I started to add carbs, and I actually started to add 50 carbs before workout and 100 after, which is a ton.
Right.
And I actually lost weight from it, and I just gained size, man. And I went to the gym it was probably about 3 weeks later, and people were like, all right, man, what are you on? What are you taking? And I'm like, I'm on carbs, man. And that's it. I'm on carbs. And so that's kind of my new pre-workout now. If I do have something around the house that I don't normally want to eat, that I know is terrible for me, but it's just super high carb or super high sugar, eat it before a workout, and then go to the workout before you kind of start to get lazy though. That's the problem. Like, you got to go before you lose that sugar high.
Yeah, I mean, when I was training MMA, I didn't have to do any pre-workouts. That was when I was in my 20s. So I'm going to talk to Beneil Dariush. She's coming on. He's a top 11 lightweight in the UFC. He's coming on this week. So I'm going to ask him if he takes any pre-workouts, because he's right in it. He might even get a title shot in the next 2 fights. So I'm excited for him. But yeah, like, I'm just really curious to see if I do wean off and how I feel. And and I don't take it every day. I take it every other day, and I'm trying to alternate workouts. But yeah, maybe if I just take a week or two off and just chill out, let the system clean out, and I should be good.
Yeah, man. The caffeine, man, is tough too. It's a long half-life, right? So it takes 6 hours for it to get rid of half of it. So if you're crushing 400 milligrams, you're going to bed with still 50 or so in your body for the most part. And you're waking up and doing it again, and then again and again and again. And I think, man, what ended up happening to me was I started getting anxiety, man. And I never, had anxiety or would freak out about anything, but I think I was just adding up way, way, way too much caffeine in my body. And, once I cut that, I felt great. I had more energy, and it's definitely a necessity after a while to just get it out of your system. And then, you can introduce it back, but when you introduce it back, you're going to get the effects again that you're looking for, instead of just this mental game that doesn't really feel like it's supposed to.
By the way, do you read much at all, or no? As an entrepreneur, do you read?
I don't read a ton. That's probably because of the businesses, but also 3 kids. So I read a lot of books to my kids.
Right.
I read a little bit. When I have certain guests on my podcast, I will pick up their book. I just read the entire Steve Madden book that he wrote, and it was super, super interesting. And we had him on the podcast a couple weeks ago. So that was the first book I read in entirety in 3 days as well, that in probably the last 5 years. So really cool book. But no, I don't usually read a ton. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I feel like I get a ton of value from that. And I'll do that, either as I'm working in the mornings or, working out.
Yeah, I was going to suggest, because David Goggins, have you heard of him?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, he's amazing. I read his book, but I listen to audiobooks. I can't really sit down and read. I don't know, man. And yeah, I find that I'm so caught up in the doing. Like, I could film this, edit this, get it out, and I'm more putting out content and doing in family and kids, that I don't have time to sit down, open a book and read. And if I'm doing that, I'd rather be producing a piece of content, right? So I listen in audio, whether it be in the shower, when I'm driving, downtime, whatever, right? So I recommend that book, Can't Hurt Me, if you haven't read it, but maybe even listen to it on audio. It's such a game changer, that book.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I've heard a lot of good things about David.
I
mean, I follow him as well. He's a machine, man. That's a whole new level for sure.
Bad man, baddest man on the planet, right? Toughest man, strongest man, whatever. Mental toughness is crazy.
Oh man, just what he does physically, the mental capacity to get to that level is insane, man. So it's definitely appreciate what he's doing.
And I got to ask you here, Gronkowski, Rob, one day, hopefully I get him on the show. I know he's busy now, but I mean, but like his mental game to be one of, if not the best tight end ever, do you find, what does he do in his rituals that makes him so tough? Because you see him break tackles, like you got to gang tackle this guy to take him down. He just plows through people when he's kind of got that momentum. Is there anything that you've seen with him that's kind of helped you, or anything that you've seen with him at all in his mental game? Because if you look at him, you're like, what kind of mental game does he do? He just looks like a beefy guy, strong, but there is a mental aspect to it. And what do you think that is with him?
Yeah, man, he does all kinds of stuff, but really he's about taking care of his body and his mind as well. And he does do a lot of things in the off season that I would never have thought he would do, like puzzles and stuff like that. He loves like Sudoku and stuff like that. But his mental capacity is insane, man. And just because he doesn't speak necessarily proper English, people think that he's not that smart. But to learn an NFL,
I just think he's a jock, right? He gets labeled as that, right?
Absolutely. But what he's doing is actually really impressive because, as a running back or fullback for me, man, I only really had to know about maybe 25% of the playbook. I wasn't really reading a defense. I wasn't reading coverages. I wasn't really running hot routes. Whereas he's playing pretty much every snap of the game. He has, pretty much his whole career played almost every single snap. And he has to know pretty much every position besides, a lineman on the field, because he does line up in the backfield. He's motioning, he's reading defenses. He's running hot routes. And man, it's impressive. And now he's on his second playbook. And he still has picked it right up as well. So the mental capacity there it's insane, man. And that's actually one of the things that, guys don't excel in, and they actually don't make teams because of. So when you see a first rounder with all the talent in the world not make a team and not just perform to that level that you think he would, it's most of the time it's because he can't pick up the playbook, or he can't learn the defense. And that's what stops a lot of guys. It's not their athletic ability. It's actually their mental game. So, man, I give him props every day, and he's a lot smarter than what people think.
Is he out of the wrestling thing now? Is he done with that completely?
I don't think he's done with it completely, but it doesn't make sense to be on the WWE roster, which he'll never be on the actual roster. That was a celebrity appearance, and I think that's something that might continue on in the future. But the wrestling game is rough, man. I mean, it's probably worse than NFL just because of the scheduling. You're in a new city pretty much every day, and that's an absolute grind. So he'll never be on the actual circuit, but I think there'll be some cool things that might come his way in the future.
You're an 80s baby like me. Did you grow up watching wrestling a lot?
Oh, absolutely, man. We were limited on how much we could watch because it always became an issue in our house with elbow drops off the top rope, or a couple too many DX signs to your teacher at school, and it always be turned into huge brawls at our house. So we watched it, we loved it, but our parents wouldn't always let us watch it.
Yeah, I grew up watching wrestling, big wrestling fan. I mean, that was the main thing to watch back then. But I remember even in high school in the 90s, we used to just do the whole Steve Austin. We used to stunner people in the hallways. Oh, yeah. We used to pick up garbage pails and smash them over each other's heads as a joking way. And we kind of go in there and do the jabs, the fake jab. It was fun.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, for you with Gronk getting into it, did that feel nostalgic to you to kind of go back and, oh my God, this is wrestling? Like, did you feel that or not really?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, man, for sure. Yeah. That was, the Hulk Hogan days. And my dad was actually, his college roommate was the IRS man.
Oh, yeah?
And so, yeah, we used to go to the matches and everyone would boo the IRS man, and, we'd be cheering him on. He'd come out and he'd collect everyone's taxes. So
I remember that guy. He was a big gimmick character, that guy. I remember him.
Yeah, so that was my dad's college roommate, and he's still part of the WWE now, and his sons are actually pretty big names in it now. So yeah, it was definitely cool to watch, and we have a friend, Mojo Rawley, who's also part of WWE. So it's been a lot of fun, man, and I hope at some point I can get out there too, man, off the top rope and drop some elbows.
What you gonna do when Gronk runs wild on you? Right?
Drop some suckets, chug some beers, man. It's a good gig, man.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you coming on, guys. I'm going to link below here the Ice Shaker website and everything like that. And hopefully I'd come on your podcast and talk to your guys as well one day.
Heck yeah, man. Good stuff. I appreciate you having me today.
I really enjoyed the talk, and I'm glad we got to dive in. And this was episode 3, so we'll have to get you coming back for sure.
Nice. Good luck with the new podcast, man. And I'll be listening.
I appreciate you coming on, guys.
We're out.